So today happens to mark a very important holy holiday for millions of Muslims all around the world. It is Eid al-Adha, which signifies the completion of the annual pilgrimage to Mecca. The pilgrimage is one of their 5 pillars or tenets in that beautiful faith. And a pilgrimage could be defined as a sacred journey that is made for spiritual growth. That really is a pilgrimage, a sacred journey that is made for spiritual growth. And while our Muslim siblings make a physical pilgrimage to the holiest site in their teaching, here in New Thought, I like to think we also make a kind of pilgrimage. It is a sacred journey that is made for our spiritual growth, and our pilgrimage is not a holy place outside of ourselves. Rather, for us, our pilgrimage is a holy place within ourselves. Listen, sacred sites and holy pilgrimages are wonderful. And we are called in New Thought to make a pilgrimage internally, in a conscious, daily way. We do this purposefully through meditation and daily prayer and spiritual study. And I want to talk about how we can make that daily pilgrimage, that journey from our head to our heart, the place where divine love lives within us, how we can make that pilgrimage of transformation and the trust and the surrender that it requires, and how ultimately the journey serves not only us, but our world. So, you've heard me talk about this a lot. We live in this really interesting place as humans. We live in this place of paradox, this place where we are asked to hold the good and the glorious, while at the same time holding what is painful and fearful for us. As spiritual people, making this process conscious is truly one of the great pilgrimages we walk in our life. And I want to share with you an ancient story. Many of you know it. It's one of my favorites. It just kept showing up for me this week. So I thought, well, okay, that's the one. That's the one I'll share on Sunday. So there's this young man. He's born in a village long time ago. And he's born with this incredible ability to ride horses. He's an incredible horseman. And as he grows and he becomes even better on his horse, the village people around him, YMCA, that's just great. The people of the village, or it could be the village people, come to him, either one works, and they say to him, "Oh, you're so good at riding a horse. You're so lucky." And he says, "We'll see." And then one day, he's riding his horse, and much to his shock, he's thrown from the horse and he breaks his leg, and the village people come to him and they say, "Oh, you're so unlucky. You broke your leg, you're so unlucky." And he says, "We'll see." And then war breaks out, and all of the men have to go fight, and the people of the village come to this young man whose leg is broken and it's up, resting. And they say to him, "Oh, you're so lucky." And he says, "We'll see." Now, one of the reasons this story is so timeless and has lasted for thousands of years is because ultimately there are times when every single one of us has been thrown from a horse, right? Women in this country are experiencing the feeling of being thrown from a horse right now, being told that we do not have bodily autonomy or agency over our bodies. This experience is so very difficult, and it's so hard. And, they can feel these moments of being thrown off a horse like such a blow, can't they, to us? But here's the thing, here's the spiritual take on all of this. Sometimes, yes, of course, it feels like life, if you will, is happening to us. That's part of being a human and having an experience here. Sometimes there are things that are incredibly difficult in our own personal lives. And we see this play out on the public stage in shootings and a corrupt Supreme Court. And at the same time, this feeling of being thrown from a horse, if you will, is a call for us, a call for each one of us. And this ancient wisdom reminds us that if we are paying attention, we see that in response, not in reaction, that's a different thing, but in response, if we are awake, as the young man in the story was, and we trust that God or Spirit is somehow at work in all of it, that then we recognize that actually life is happening through us. Do you see? Because of free will, things are going to happen. People are going to make choices that we do not agree with. That's going to happen. That's part of the human experience. And we are at choice about what we do about it. And when we recognize that life happens through us, always for the greater good and the higher level of awareness and consciousness on the planet, if we pay attention, we can participate in directing that energy for good. Yes? Amen. All right. So, the thing is, when you have been thrown from the horse and you are on the ground and your leg is hurting, it can be very difficult to remember this. You know, I venture to guess that when the young man broke his leg in the story and he was bummed because he couldn't ride his horse, he had no idea what was coming. He had no idea that the war was breaking out and the temporary hurt that he was experiencing would end up to be his greatest blessing. Thinking about him in that story, I can only imagine the shift his life must have taken as a result of his injury. And you know, in the story, and it's really a parable probably, it ends quite abruptly, does it not? You know, it ends very abruptly. And I'm known for sort of in my family with our 4 daughters, you know, having extended alternative endings, especially to fairy tales. So I came up with one. Would you like to hear? Would you like to hear my version of how the story continues? All right. So the young man, he's broken his leg. The war breaks out. The town comes to him, and they say to him, "Oh, you're so lucky. You broke your leg. You don't have to go to war." And he says, "We'll see." And then. He's laid up in bed with his foot up. He's bored out of his mind. One morning, he's stretching. He reaches over. There's a book. He's never really paid much attention to books. He's paid attention to horses, but not books. He grabs the book. He reads the book. He's learning about life and the world, and his life is taking a new turn. And then he reads all the texts, the sacred texts, everything he can get his hands on. And this young man's whole life pivots. And he becomes the wise man of the village. He becomes the healer. And he holds the soul of that village. And when the men come back from the years of war, ravaged and in pain, he serves them, he heals them, he gives them hope. And he's so wise, this young man. He's read so much and he's learned so much that he actually decides to become a feminist. And being the good feminist man that he is, he appoints a young, magnificent, intelligent woman to rule the village, and she outlaws war, and peace is forever. That is my story. Oh, the fairy tale endings I changed in my house with 4 daughters. You have no idea. And the prince supported the princess as she became a brain surgeon. No. Shelley spoke so beautifully last week, did she not? Didn't she? She was spot on. And she was speaking about this idea of accepting the gift in a difficult or challenging situation, just like the man in the story. When we do this, our experience is elevated and we are able to see the divinity in all of it so much more clearly. And Shelley had so much wisdom to share. If you have not seen her talk, I invite you into it. It was last week. It's so lovely. And I want to say to you that if you are feeling right now in any way that you have been thrown from a horse, I invite you to hold to the truth that even though you may not be able to see it yet, grace and transformation are at hand, and expansion and growth are happening on your behalf, my loves. I believe that's what's happening in our country as we gather together and we stand up for what is right. Morgan Harper Nichols wrote, "Oh, how beautiful you are, learning the art of surrender, the courage to let go in the wild of your unknowns." Oh, how beautiful you are, learning the art of surrender, the courage to let go in the wild of your unknowns. We are in the wild of our unknowns, aren't we? And yes, this takes courage. And hold to the truth that God is at work right now. Spirit, love, source is at work. There is a Lakota prayer I would like to share with you. It goes, "Wakantanka, Great Spirit, great mystery, teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit. Teach me to trust these things so that I may enter my sacred space and love beyond my fear and thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun." I love this prayer, but this is the stanza right here that gets me every time. And that is, teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit. Just as indigenous cultures from around the world have taught the importance of being present to the wisdom of Mother Earth, they have also taught us the importance of trusting the wisdom of our body temple. We cannot make that pilgrimage and move from our head to our heart without understanding the language and the wisdom of our body temple. They're not separate things. It's completely connected. Our inner wisdom is naturally, continuously, and always communicating with us through our physical bodies because it is the wisdom of the soul that lives at the center of our being. It's love that is living and breathing through us if we pay attention to it. This love or this life force energy is always guiding each one of us, giving us this gentle, internal feedback about every single option that comes to us if we are awake to it, for the small things and the largest, biggest life decisions. Our bodies are an integral part of this spiritual practice. The teacher Mira Alfassa, also known in India as the Mother, said, "It seems that one can truly understand only when one understands with the body. It seems that one can truly understand only when one understands with the body." And so, my friends, whether it's the smallest thing, as to turn left or to turn right, or to slow down on the road, or to leave 15 minutes early, or to take a certain job, or to say yes to that huge life idea, or to make a big move, or to go to the doctor, when we are listening and responding to the gentle divine nudges within us, my friends, we are doing our part. We are opening up and we are allowing life or God or spirit within us to be constantly communicating with us for our highest good, which it's always trying to do anyway. You know, your body is always trying to get your attention. Always. And oh, don't we ignore it? I know I do. I know I do. This is part of our work. This, in part, is what the ancient Christian text means when it says, we pray without ceasing. To pray without ceasing means to be in constant communication with the divine. We teach that the divine is within us, around us, and in the mystery. And if the divine is the wisdom at the center of our being, then to pray without ceasing is to be in constant communication with it, which means that we are beholden to listen to its wisdom. Are you following? Yeah. How wonderful it is to know that as we tune into our bodies and we listen to our inner nudges, really what that is, that's a form of prayer. When you listen to your body, it's a form of prayer. It's a form of communication with your inner divine wisdom. Our body temple is a key to unlimited and direct loving guidance. And as we listen and as we trust its messages and its nudges, we experience greater growth and greater happiness. And it's not complicated. We make it complicated, don't we? We humans. We make it complicated. It's really not. I'm going to share a practice with you. Are you willing? To really start integrating this type of prayer, which really is trust. It's an exercise in trusting the divine within you. And as we trust and we begin to really follow, listen, and act upon the messages and nudges that we experience internally, you will find that you will have a greater experience of ease in your life and joy in your life. And once you cultivate the habit of listening to your body wisdom, and I don't care how long you have been in this teaching, there's always an opportunity, always to peel back another layer. Always, always. And you will see how very guided you are moment by moment by moment. It just takes a little bit of practice. Now, some of you may have heard me talk about this in a class in the past. So for some of you, it might be a nice refresher. For some of you, it will be brand new. But one of the ways that I want to encourage you to really begin to recognize these messages and these nudges, there are two distinct feelings within your body. And these two distinct feelings bring either expansion or contraction. It's one or the other, expansion or contraction. A yes brings an inner feeling of expansion. A no brings an inner feeling of contraction. And here's what that looks like. When you are faced with a choice or a possible action to take, if it is safe, if it uplifts you, if it supports you, you will feel a sense of expansion. This is a yes feeling. Some people get a warm, sort of pleasant feeling or a flash of energy or enthusiasm. Some people experience this yes like a click, sort of like when you go to the chiropractor and you get an adjustment, and you go, that's a yes. Some people experience goosebumps. If you hang out with me for any period of time, you know I call them God bumps. This is how I get my affirmation from Spirit that I'm on the right track. That's a yes. There's clarity there. Can you tap in right now when you know something's a yes, where you feel, just locate that in your body just for a second so you can anchor this. How you receive a yes, how that shows up in you. And just remember that. Just hold to that. Now, on the contrary, when you are faced with a choice or a possible action that is not for your highest good, safety, or upliftment, the ways in which the body temple says no also differ for people. Because when something is a no, you experience contracting energy. You might feel it like a tightening in your solar plexus or in your throat. You might feel your energy drop. You might get tired or irritable. You might even get a little bit of a headache, maybe even, you know? You might get that odd sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. You may even get a pain kind of in your back or your neck. You may feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up. This is your inner wisdom saying no or wait. Wait shows up as contraction. Spirit is so wise. Spirit is always directing us. It lets us know. So just tune in. When something doesn't feel right for you, where do you feel that in your body? Anchor that, what that is for you. For me, I always feel it in my throat. Always. I invite you this week to take this out into your experience and start small. If you're out and about, I kid you not, and you're like, do I want to go to this place or that place? Just check in. Spirit, is it a yes? Is this a yes or is this a no? And you're guided. Should I call this person or not call them? Check in. Is this the time? Yes? No? If it's a no, maybe it's a wait. I invite you into this spiritual practice this week. This is a practice of trust. It's a practice of surrendering to your inner wisdom, which will never steer you wrong. Around here we often say that the entire universe has your back. I am here to tell you the entire universe has your back from the inside out. Yeah, you got it? You got it? It's from the inside out. The magnitude of divine love is endless. This all-loving universe exists within you, and it is always working on your behalf. And this is part of the pilgrimage from our head to our heart. And sometimes in life, we're asked to pivot out of the blue. I think we've all heard that saying, we make plans and God laughs. Whatever, right? Kumu Sabra Kauka wrote, "Listen to your heart, follow your path. May it be clear and for the good of all." Listen to your heart, follow your path. May it be clear and for the good of all. My favorite example of this very thing happened on August 28th, 1963. My dad knows that date because he was there, right up front. Hi, Dad. August 28th, 1963, that was the day that Dr. Martin Luther King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. Now, there's a story that's very iconic about this that a lot of people don't know. This iconic speech that Dr. Martin Luther King made on that day, that is etched in American history forever, was not his original plan. About 11 minutes into the speech, Dr. Martin Luther King looks up and he sees that he's kind of losing people. He sees that it's not giving the impact that he wants it to give. He is in front of millions of people. Millions of people. It's being televised live. He knows this is a very important moment. He knows it's a very important moment, and he feels that he's beginning to lose folks. There's a lot going on that day. About 11 minutes in, Mahalia Jackson shouts to him, "Speak about the dream, Dr. King, speak about the dream." And in that moment, Dr. Martin Luther King goes off book. He goes off his script. He gets that inner nudge to pivot. He gets that inner nudge to do something different. He listens to the wisdom not only around him, but within him. And he gives the section of the speech that is known as I Have a Dream. He listened to the divine. And he changed history in that moment. Can you believe if he had not done that? What a loss that would have been. One of the things that is so important, we think so often that there are a few great people in the world, right? There are a few people in history that do great things. No. No. There are great people who allow Spirit to move through them, and they do that great work through them. Do you see the difference? That's the difference. When we surrender, when we give room for God or Source or love to lead the way, not only for ourselves, but for our family, for our communities, for our world, we change it for the better. We change it for the better. So this week, I invite you to tune in to the invitation to make the journey, the pilgrimage from your head to your heart. Tune in to that heart wisdom, that heart space, if you can. Even if you just do this with me. Put your hand on your heart. Just take a deep breath. Do you feel that? That wisdom at the center of your being. Anchor to that this week. You can do that anywhere you are, anywhere at any time. Even if it's just a moment, placing your hand on your heart and taking a breath, reminding you, if you're too much in your head, if you're thinking, let God carry it. Let Spirit carry it for you. If you feel like you've been knocked off a horse in any way, lean into the ancient wisdom of holding to the truth that even though you may not be able to see it yet, transformation is happening. Allow yourself to know that. Give yourself permission to believe that. And I invite you, lastly, to practice noticing your inner feeling of expansion when something is a yes, as well as your inner feeling of contraction when something is a no. Just like Dr. King did, allowing yourself to pivot if needed, to really listen to that direct message from Spirit at the center of your being, knowing that this will lead you to greater truth and power and love in your life. Hi, friends. I hope that our message inspired you today. I want to give you an opportunity to pay it forward. We are able to do all that we do here. We're able to get this message to you wherever you are in the world based on contributions. We're a nonprofit. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to do that, to pay it forward. You can click the link in the description box below or go to our website. No amount is too small or too big. We are so grateful. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Know that you are loved. Mwah. Have a good week.